Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Vince, with the Paranormal UK Radio Network. In the last episode, I described some frightening experiences that I've had with shadow beings during my astral projections, and in particular, one encounter in which I was chased and attacked by one of these entities. So in this episode, I'm going to share some details about what I learned about the true nature of these shadow beings and about what actually happened to me during that terrifying experience. This experience triggered an intense energetic event within both my astral body and my physical body. And it was a new type of experience for me because until that point, I had never actually been affected in any tangible way by these shadow beings. So during this out-of-body experience, this entity grabbed my neck and shocked me with this immensely powerful energy that seemed to explode throughout my astral body and actually temporarily prevented me from re-entering my physical body. And typically what would happen is that I would instantly snap back into my body if something triggered a heightened state of fear or if I perceived a threat while out of my body. But this time, I was stuck in the clutches of this shadow being. Now, realistically, I was probably in that energetic state for only 10 seconds or so, although in the moment it seemed like a lot longer. And when I finally went back into my physical body, it was actually vibrating with the same energy that I had experienced during the astral projection, and it took several minutes before it dissipated. So now there were some pressing questions on my mind. Who or what exactly were these shadow beings? What actually happened during that experience? What was the energy that took over me? And why did the shadow being do that to me? I wanted to find the answers to these questions, but I was also afraid of these shadow beings more than ever. And it seemed like that event did something to me energetically, because I stopped encountering these shadow beings after that. Like I mentioned last episode, these entities are typically found in the lower astral dimensions. And what happened at that point is that I started to project beyond the lower dimensions naturally. Like I started to completely bypass them and directly project into dimensions higher than them. And I came to the conclusion that the shadow being caused an increase and a heightening of my energy in a way that actually strengthened and developed my astral body. Because you project into whatever astral level your own energy body and consciousness resonate with. So a higher energetic state of one's consciousness and astral body will allow you to project into a higher dimension of the same frequency. So if this was true, and this shadow being actually helped raise my energy, then this went against my previous conception of these entities, which was that they were negative or malicious or mischievous at best. I mean, why would it do something that was actually beneficial to me and my spiritual development? Well, maybe these shadow beings weren't what I thought they were. And so I basically stopped encountering them after this, for a while at least. And then something happened during an out-of-body experience which confirmed my ideas about what happened during my last encounter with the shadow being that affected my energy. So this one time, I started to project from my body and I immediately felt the presence of several beings around me. And a few moments later, I was fully out of my body, surrounded by darkness. And there were 3 huge shadow beings standing in front of me. And it was just like the last encounter. I was in total darkness, but these entities were even darker than the darkness around us. Like, they were made of this 3-dimensional blackness that popped from the darkness around them. And I initially reacted with fear because I didn't know the intentions of these beings, and my previous experience with them was downright terrifying. But that was years before, and at this point I was a little more experienced, and so I centered myself and calmed myself down. And I remembered that even though my last experience with these entities was frightening, I wasn't harmed, and in fact, it actually seemed to have a positive effect. So I'm standing before these 3 big, dark, humanoid figures, and suddenly one of them begins to approach me. And it doesn't walk, but it slowly glides forward. So now it's just a few feet in front of me, and it reaches its arm out and puts its hand on my arm, grabbing just under my shoulder. And at the moment of contact, I experienced an explosion of energy that shot through my entire body, passing through and stimulating all of my chakras. And this energy is pulsing through all of these different pathways through my energy body, like these energetic pathways, almost like veins running through my astral body. And unlike the last time this happened, this energy wasn't too intense and uncomfortable, but it actually felt really good, almost blissful. And as the energy coursed through my body, the shadow beings vanished, and I found myself in another dimension. So the energy eventually subsided, and I started exploring this astral dimension that I was in. But I wanted to experience more of that incredible energy that the shadow being affected me with. So I focused my awareness inward with the intention of reactivating this energy within my energy body. And suddenly, my navel chakra exploded with an unimaginably powerful force that instantly spread throughout every energy pathway in my astral body and penetrated the very core of my being. It felt like I was exploding with bliss, even stronger than before. So after several moments in this state, I had to pull my focus away from the energy because it was becoming too strong and too intense, and it was starting to get uncomfortable. So I focused my awareness on a location in the distance, and the energy dissipated. And I continued to explore the environment of the astral dimension that I was in. And I realized that I was now in an even higher dimension than I was before. Everything was more vibrant and beautiful, and my consciousness was heightened and even more lucid than before. And I noticed when I looked at my surroundings that everything was imprinted with these intricate geometric fractal patterns that were spinning and transforming. And I noticed that my energy body was still extremely sensitive from the energy activation that I had just undergone. Just one moment of focusing my awareness inward into my energy body, and again, I exploded with this intense ecstasy, and my chakras were pulsing with energy. And again, it soon became too much for me to handle. And again, I had to divert my attention away from my astral body to allow the energy to die down. So, after exploring the astral dimension a little more, I went back to my body. And just like the last time, my physical body was buzzing with the energy that I had experienced during the astral projection. And since then, I've had the ability to draw upon this energy while out of my body, simply by focusing inward and bringing my awareness into my energy body with the intention of activating my energy. And I instantly explode with this blissful energy. And with time, I learned to hold on to that state of bliss for longer and longer. And sometimes I leave my body and activate my energy and just meditate in that state of bliss. And it's more powerful and more transformational than any meditation you could do while grounded in the physical body. Because when you're out of body, you can access a connection with higher aspects of your own consciousness. You can access your higher self, which is an aspect of our consciousness which transcends our current understanding and experience of who we are. And from the higher self flows knowledge and insight and truth. And this connection can provide incredible realizations about the nature of the self and the nature of reality. And so, through these states of blissful energy meditation, I access the insight that these shadow beings didn't affect me with this energy, but they were actually activating my own energy. It was like they were unlocking these higher energetic states within me and causing these bursts of development that otherwise would require a great deal of meditation and energy work and practice. And despite their appearance, these entities were actually helping me. And this realization allowed me to eliminate my fear of them. And with that came the desire to reconnect with them. And eventually, I contacted these shadow beings again and actually opened communication with them. And some of the things I was told by them was just incredible. And I'm going to share these revelations with you guys in the next episode. And we're also going to talk about another group of non-human and non-physical entities which began to visit me during my early days exploring the astral dimensions. And some of those experiences were far more frightening than anything I had experienced with the shadow beings. So thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode of Astral Encounters coming at you from the Paranormal UK Radio Network.